I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Gentlemen, we are coming to you live from all
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the AEW Dynamite AfterBuzz After Show. We are coming to you live from all across Southern California. And we got a show for you. We've got all the shenanigans that happened today, but before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce the amazing panel I get to work with today. First up, to my immediate side here, I don't know how that's broken down for you guys, but for me, he's right here. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the law doctor and international super scout. Let's hear it for Roger Corral.
I'm here for the boom boom room, and I think it's behind you. I think that's the boom boom room.
The boom boom room right here.
It's right there.
This right here.
Wow.
And right here she is the indie darling herself, checking out all the wrestlers that you don't realize are gonna be your favorite wrestlers soon. She is Anissa Barr.
Yay! I do have a couple of comments about what they said about where Matt is and where he lives.
That's what we're here for.
I know.
Pump the brakes a little bit because we have to introduce our newest member, making us full power. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the king of the bing, bang, and boom. He is Marshall Libre.
That is right. Tonight, in esta noche, we're going to be recapping everything that's going on in AAW. And a lot of crazy stuff is happening tonight, especially with the AAA Mega title on the line. It's going to be great.
You know what's cool?
For this.
Once you put a mask on, you're like a whole different person, right?
Exactly.
I don't even know if this is who you think it is. I think this is legitimately Marshall Libre. I don't think
this is Marshall Libre. This isn't anyone else but Marshall Libre. Oh, pardon me, wrong voice. This is Marshall Libre. This isn't anyone else under the mask.
And of course, I want to give a shout out to our producer today, Rye Guy in the booth. Thank you so much for running the show behind the scenes. I don't know if you can pop in and say hello. If you can, say hello. If not, thanks anyway.
Thanks, Rye Guy.
Hello. Thank you all so much for the shout out.
Yeah.
Psyched to be producing this dope show. I hope it was as amazing as it was last week.
And I am your benevolent host. I'm Fancy Jack Farmer. We never even found the rails today, by the way. I think this whole thing is just going off the rails. But let's try to get it back on. Let's start with some overall thoughts. Panel, what did you guys think about the second show without a audience?
You know, in this era, I feel like I'm just gonna like appreciate anything we get, because we don't know if we got next week, guys. We don't know if we got the week after that. Let's just take it all in. It's like drinking fine wine.
Yes, I love it. Anissa, what did you think?
I really enjoyed this episode. So many interesting things happened, but overall the matches were so amazing. I loved it.
And Macho Libre, what about you?
I
You
thought
enjoying
this was
what we got?
an exquisite show tonight. You have to imagine that this, like Roger said, may be the very last time in a while that we will have a show. So let's talk basket in. And what a basket it was. It was great.
We're gonna bask in the glory.
Bask
in
the glory.
You know, this I thought was a really, really cool show, especially with, they had some, let's just throw it out there at the beginning. There's a few little technical difficulties throughout, but I think that overall the show is really cool. And you know, it's weird to say, but I don't think it's weird that there's not an audience anymore. I mean, it's not as good as when there's an audience, but I think I'm past it now. I can just enjoy the show as is.
We're getting used to this. We're getting used to quarantine life.
This is the new normal, right? I thought it was fine. Like the crowd would be better, but it didn't feel weird anymore, right? Like it felt like, okay, this is what we're getting. It's totally fine to me. Maybe I'm just fooling myself. Am I fooling
really
myself?
Optimistic, Jack.
Am I fooling myself? I thought it was fine. I thought that was fine.
I think I am getting nervous that we're getting used to this. I'm like, I could live like this, sure. And I'm gonna be pissed off when the crowds come back. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, get out of here. I'm enjoying the play. I don't know. It's interesting.
When they get a crowd back, that is going to be the hottest crowd of all time.
Unless they're in Corpus Christi.
Unless shots fired at Corpus Christi. But yeah, I can't imagine these. I mean, I feel like like if I was in the first crowd back, I would be going absolutely nuts for everything they did. But you know what? I think speaking of this new normal and this new world we're in, I think they really embraced it when we ended the show with Jericho cutting a promo on a drone, totally coronavirus safe here, totally following all the guidelines. This is how you do it. Vanguard won. Guys, I'll be honest. I gotta break the fourth wall here a second.
Break it down for us, Jack.
I try to take the show. I try to take the show, and I try to break it down like important things first, and then you go to like the less important things as you go, and I try to get a structure of how I want these conversations to go. I have no idea how to break down the end of Dynamite with broken Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. I just know the whole time I was grinning ear to ear because it was so entertaining and weird.
You probably had a list, and then magic. They threw magic at you, Jack.
They did. They threw magic at us, and when he started moving around from the chair to chair, I was literally just like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
How amazing were the jump cuts going from one place to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. It was amazing. But the one thing that I had to nitpick about, you could see the certain lighting changes in the certain hair position. Like, it's definitely critiques.
Listen.
I think that wouldn't work if there was a crowd. So I'm glad there was.
I mean, I agree.
You know what I mean? It's great. That way, no superpowers.
People would be on Twitter saying, Matt Hardy's standing next to me right now.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it would. Well, the first rules of teleportation is you need to make sure there's not someone already standing where you're going to teleport.
No, that's not true.
What are
the rules of teleportation then?
Okay, as a gamer, I play this video game called League of Legends, and you can teleport another place to another place in the video game, and you can have someone next to you. So, yeah.
I know, but you have to make sure there's no one in the same space. Otherwise, you go.
All right.
Wait. So you can teleport groups?
No, you could teleport yourself to another
but
place.
into other people. This is a serious. We need to figure this out. This is a very important.
You're being serious? Oh, I thought we were just.
Well, here's the thing: if he's going to,
No,
if he's going to the inner circle, we need to know how they're going to teleport. So that's why we're asking.
Yeah, listen. I think this was the perfect first promo for these guys. Now, Roger, you are a legend of pro wrestling knowledge. You follow wrestling all over the world. I'm going to give you a very tough task right now. This is going to be the hardest thing we do today.
I've been preparing for 2 weeks.
I want you to explain the broken Matt Hardy character to someone who's never seen broken Matt Hardy.
Oh. Huh. I kind of lost track along the way. At some point, Matt Hardy needed to find himself. Along the way, he compartmentalized himself in his own house with his wife, his gardener, his son.
Okay.
There was a dilapidated boat involved at some point. And he got thrown into magical waters in his own lake, and he was able to rebuild himself. He was able to help his brother Nero discover himself as well along the way. Once that happened, he made his triumphant return to the WWE as Matt Hardy, where he tried to, again, delete any bad vibes around him. He did not succeed there. And somehow he teleported his way here thanks to the Bucks of Youth. And that's why he's eternally grateful to them. Huh?
Now, Anissa, I want you to audit Roger. Did you do a good job? Does that cover all the?
I made all of it up.
If someone never didn't have any idea who this guy was, how would you explain him? How would you explain broken Matt Hardy? Because to me, I feel like he's like a soul that got stuck in the internet for 3,000 years and just finally got free.
I would tell him to go on YouTube and figure it out because it's all on YouTube.
Anissa, the whole point of us being here is so that we can tell them.
You know what's going to happen? They're going to go on YouTube and see us.
Exactly.
So I thought this was perfect. I thought this whole setup was perfect. Jericho, again, deserves an award. He played this perfectly in that he never acted like what Matt Hardy was doing was still like he kind of did, but he didn't. Like it was like he accepted it as this is who he's working with, but he also kind of teased it and stayed the Jericho we know and love. And their chemistry together was fantastic. Masho, did you like it?
I definitely love the chemistry between them, especially with the little Looney Tunes banter going back with Elite and Delete, and essentially just Matt Hardy or Broken Matt crossing him over in the end and telling him just to fake out and everything else. But I definitely did love the promos between back and forth, especially when Broken Matt Hardy confirmed him as the Hole from Ass.
I debated whether we could say the Hole from Ass.
Yeah, are we gonna get the explicit tag? Masho doesn't care. You can't stop.
Listen, when I got this mask on, expletives don't even matter.
It would be really cool if there was a crowd and they went back and forth with delete, elite, delete, elite.
I feel like the crowd would have chanted Hole in Ass, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I actually think this is better. I think the crowd, because I think everyone wants to say it with him, and we can't right now because we're all at home. And that's why when they do get a crowd again and he comes out, I think everyone is going to go so hard on the delete, delete, delete thing. And it's going to be so good. They delayed Blood and Guts. It was supposed to be today. They delayed it. And health reasons aside, I'm glad they did because I think they're going to wait until they can have a crowd. And it is going to be one of the coolest matches of all time.
You realize how long I've been waiting to go blah, blah.
You know, they teased it a little bit with old Vanguard, or as Jericho just calls him, Guard. Zooming in on old Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson's 61%. We're already getting a little bit of a view into that broken universe, and it's sort of filling things up. Anissa, did you like seeing Nick Jackson pop in for a little bit? Did you like seeing Vanguard get a little promo?
First of all, that is not Rancho Cucamonga. Just letting you know.
Where is it?
It's close to where I live, but that is not Rancho Cucamonga. Just letting you know.
You are
But-
full of half information today.
Well, I'm just saying because it just really bothered me that it said, "Oh, it's from Rancho Cucamonga," and I'm like, that is not Rancho Cucamonga. That's like Victorville, and I know for a fact because somebody who used to work for a T-shirt company who made the Young Bucks all in T-shirts, I had to drive over there and give them their shirts. So
Should we expect a heel turn from Nick because he's lying about living in Rancho Cucamonga?
I mean, who knows? I'm just
Rod.
saying,
Rods.
if you want to stalk them, you're going to the wrong city.
Who knows?
You
That
know-
could be another Matt Young, not the actual Matt Young from Rancho Cucamonga. It's the Victorville Matt Young.
It's Victorville.
So no, Masha, you bring up a really good point. See, the we saw Matt use it like setting off the pyro and things like that. Is he gonna be AEW's Undertaker?
Ooh.
Ooh, that is a very good question. Maybe, but does AEW need an Undertaker? I don't think so.
No. I think
Oh.
Matt would just control Matt Buck. I'm sorry, Nick. No,
Wait,
who's missing?
Matt, you're saying Matt Hardy.
Yeah, is going to control the Young Bucks. Sorry. Wrong. I'm stuck in my house. That's what will happen.
I feel like Magic is a scary realm to go into because I mean they draw a fine line with the Undertaker, and Matt Hardy has kind of struggled with it a bit when he was feuding with Bray Wyatt in the WWE. Like it's a bit hard to. I mean, if you're getting beat up in a ring, it makes it hard for me not to believe that you could just use your magic at some point, you know? So it's a fine line that you're gonna have to walk at that point.
Yeah, well, they did. I like that they did a little bit of the getting physical with Jericho slapping Matt and Matt knocking him to the ground and him even saying, "Oh, you are magic. You took down the champion in one shot." Fantastic.
Can I just say, it felt like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that South Park episode where like the wrestlers are performing like this magical play, and it's all a play. It's a play. Yeah. These guys are actors, and so it's really cool to see them perform their art. I don't even know if this was live or taped, but it's great. Like you're just seeing them just act.
Yeah, I'm confused too if this was live or taped because Dark, they were in Florida outside doing matches, but this one looked like the same arena from last week.
Yeah, it was the same arena. But so Dark, I think, was just because it's outdoors. So I think the Dark, I don't know when they tape these things, but yeah, speaking of taping things, we tape these every single Wednesday. And I want to say thank you to everyone who watches these as we tape them and put them up on YouTube. Thank you for making AfterBuzz TV the ESPN of TV talk. That's the catchphrase, and that's why we say it. Please make sure to hit the like button, fill in a little comment, hit the subscribe button, and especially share it online with your friends. That's how the show grows. That's how people know who we are, and that's how we get a bigger budget so we don't have to work from home. Maybe we'll have a studio one of these days.
And if you don't subscribe and like, I will put you in a headlock and choke you out.
Yes.
I'm
Masha, you're doing the live read next week.
I'm kind of back to the studio after this.
I'm gonna watch our own show just to be safe. So yeah, and thanks for watching this episode, you guys. So let's talk about Sammy Guevara and Kenny Omega putting the AAA Mega Championship on the line, and I think we have to go straight to Masho for this to tell us all about how one of the biggest title in Mexico was defended just now.
One of the biggest titles in Mexico, and boy, what a great way to highlight a promotion that's not very well known sometimes in the U.S., maybe in the California West Coast and southern part of the U.S. region, but outside of that, not really that well known. So a great platform to do that for them. And for Kenny Omega to go up against the Spanish God himself, I mean, what a great match itself. it was kind of a back and forth. I kind of felt one way that Kenny was going to win all along. But then early on in the match, I was just like, oh, maybe the Spanish God might want the Mexican title. Who knows? He might want to represent both worlds. But in the end, we see Kenny Omega take back the victory and everything. But boy, what a great match. Sammy Guevara really playing it up as a heel, especially ripping off that caricature and kissing Brandy's face and then trying to get the moves on her. I mean, what a heel.
And now, Roger, you're our international super scout. AAA, that's like the biggest wrestling company in Mexico, right? Or am I mistaken?
The biggest, the classic company in Mexico is CMLL, and it's like the classic WWE. It's been there since like the 30s, 40s, like even maybe before. I got to go there last year actually, and it's like this little arena in Mexico. It's really small. And AAA, I would compare them to like WCW 94 to like 99. Like good second brand. And I mean, it's a highly known company. You know, Rey Mysterio wrestled there, Conan wrestled there. A lot of like great wrestlers have gone through there. And this title was taken from Phoenix actually earlier, actually late last year. Kenny had a great match with Phoenix for that title. And unfortunately, they can't wrestle over there right now either. So, you know, he's defending the title. And I thought it was a great match. I'm starting to think I'm putting Kenny. So for me personally, Shawn Michaels is like the greatest wrestler of all time because I feel like Shawn Michaels could never have that match. And
disagree, but it's fair.
I agree, Roger.
All right, I'm starting to put Kenny on a level of like I can't think of a bad match.
Yeah, he does really great, and this was one Macho had kind of alluded to. I think we all kind of figured Kenny was going to retain here, but it was still a really, really fun match. One of my favorite parts happened right at the end. Well, actually, one of my favorite parts was him making out with the
in her
picture
face
of Brandy and her face. But from a long-term standpoint, one of the things I really, really loved about this match is the very end when Guevara gave Kenny the finger, knowing he was about to get V-triggered. And I think this is a very big character thing because in a way it was kind of we've always said ass already, badass move to do. Like he knows he's about to get V-triggered, but he still stood up, guns blazing, and was like, "Let me see him with your biggest shot, Kenny." Yeah. Anissa, do you think this has elevated Sammy Guevara? Was that like a cool move, or was that just him being?
No, definitely. I mean, they really believe in Sammy Guevara. I mean, he's still young. He's still young, and he's been wrestling for quite a while, but not too long. And for them to give Sammy these opportunities is really good for him because they are helping these young and new generations become bigger stars. And I think with him wrestling Kenny Omega tonight was just really on perfect and really shows a respect how much they really believe in Sammy Guevara. And despite his character and whatever, I really hope Sammy Guevara really succeeds in AEW. And if one day he does leave AEW and go somewhere else, I hope, he gets the recognition he deserves within his career from here to there, throughout his career. But overall, I thought this match was really good. I felt that it was long, but at the same time, it was, I enjoyed the match.
Yeah, this match was like 40 minutes. Like that was a long match.
Yeah, but I mean, Sammy Guevara is so funny. His character, he's coming out. He's just, like I mentioned before, he just reminds me of those YouTubers who are jerks, but in a funny way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they've said before he's a future star. I think he's just about there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some real character development in him, more than just being sort of the cocky, jerky guy in the inner circle and becoming more of a star in his own right. Because I think he's ready. I mean, I think he's got so much talent. I mean, you can always get better forever. That's always going to be there. But I think he's already a star.
Yeah,
I think
with the inner circle of him, Sammy Guevara, he kind of reminds me of with Evolution of Randy Orton. Randy Orton was very young.
I feel like he's
kind of naive. Yes, yeah, very naive. Whatnot, obviously. And then, yeah, that's the closest thing I could compare to him being part of Inner Circle, in my opinion.
And if that's
So
the
we
case,
think
how long until Sammy Guevara turns on the Inner Circle? Because it's inevitable. I mean, you take a look at this kid. He's a good-looking kid and everything, and I'm pretty sure that he would make an outstanding babyface right here. I mean, he's super young, sky's the limit and everything. We know he can play a great heel, but his capabilities as a babyface, well, what do you guys think about that?
I think he has range. I think he is on a Randy Orton trajectory. He's almost on a Triple H trajectory when he was next to Shawn Michaels. I feel like if there's anyone that's benefited from any aligning in the last year or so, it's Sammy Guevara. Like, his character is so, like, he's grown so much. Like, he has so much character, so much sass. And the fact that he's performing at that level against Kenny Omega right now, the guy's ready.
Yeah, and I think if he becomes babyface, it won't hurt him. I mean, if you guys have time, obviously you guys have time because we're all stuck in the house. Check on his YouTube page, he's vlogging, and you could tell, obviously the different side of him on, being off screen. But I think he could really become a really good babyface and heel. It's rare that we get to see these superstars or wrestlers that are good at being a heel and a face. And I think, in my opinion, Sammy Guevara would be one of those guys that we could be good as being a heel and a face.
And I think I want to make sure that we're clear in that, as we talked about, growing, being aligned with somebody. Sometimes I think that comes off as sounding like, oh, they're just next to each other, so we view them differently. But Sammy Guevara, you can actually see he's grown as in his performances and his character and what he does. So I think we got to give him specifically a lot of credit as well, and not just be like, oh yeah, he's rubbing shoulders with Jericho, so we take him more seriously. But no, he's put in work. It would seem, at least on the outside. I don't know what he's really done, but it looks like he's put in a lot of work and he's become a lot better of a character. But I don't know if he's going to turn on the Inner Circle or the Inner Circle may turn on him. I don't know how much time the Inner Circle has, because you guys, I think that there's a new bully on the block, and his name is Brody Lee. This, to me, I think, it may not be the Matt Hardy thing is going to be the headline, right? That's going to be the thing that everyone talks about, and that's going to be what's on all the sheets tomorrow. But this, to me, his promo, his video, his match, this to me was saying this is the big bad coming forward in the future. What do you guys think about the old Exalted One?
Shots fired. That's all I could say.
Very much so. And what you were kind of saying earlier about Matt being the potential Undertaker, I don't think that could happen. But retracting what I said earlier about not there being an Undertaker AEW, I think Brody Lee can potentially fill in that spot. I mean, to think of him as a cult leader, to literally have him yelling at his cronies to not eat until he's done or he has left the room.
So good.
I mean, how much of a heel can you be? And what this reminds me of is Undertaker level of cult leader status when he was back in the Ministry in the Attitude Era. I mean, him just controlling everything and doing everything for the Dark Order, especially when he kicks the guy out and then sneezes on the other guy's steak. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like how evil can you be?
Daddy wasn't finished. Daddy needed to eat.
Yeah, that was so cool. And I love that he was in like the suit too. Like, so it wasn't just like, so it looked like he wasn't just a weirdo that's always like in cloaks. Like, he also can look like the businessman. He can also be in these nice restaurants, but that's what makes him scary. He said something really, really important, I think, that is going to stand out. And he said, you don't understand the concept of strength in numbers. I have a prediction. I predict, things might be a little crazy right now, so maybe it won't be the exact timing, but I have a feeling as this year comes to a close, the Dark Order will be the biggest and most significant stable in all of wrestling.
NWO
I'm putting it out
number?
there.
I think it's going to be part of it.
I think it's going to be a big deal, and you guys should join now. Get on the ground floor.
I definitely agree with Jack. If you see this mask turn black next week, you'll know why.
Hey, Jack, you got a number?
I got it. Yeah, you can go to joindarkorder.com today and find out how you can eat right after Brody Lee finishes.
Can I just say, I am nervous about one thing, and it's a bit of a nitpick on your Dark Order prediction here.
Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous at, you know how we've taken shots against Marks I'm about to take a shot against Marks. I feel like I hope he's not trying to be Vince McMahon, because the character felt a little bit like that. Like, he eats steak, he doesn't like people sneezing. You know, we've heard these stories before. And so my hope is that Brody Lee doesn't go into that direction and leans in more on just being a cult leader.
I get what you're saying, and I agree, because I don't like the whole like taking shots at each other, frankly. I'll say it. I know a lot of AEW fans like it when they take shots. I know a lot of WWE fans like it. But I like everyone to be nice and friendly because I like wrestling all around. Plus, I feel like it's silly to try to lean too much on taking shots at the other company. But I have a feeling it's not going to be that way. I think kind of like how Jericho and Moxley, they all kind of spent their first like couple weeks maybe taking shots, and then they moved on to other things, and they don't really talk about like bad ideas from bad creative.
People need to get it off of them, right? Like, it's still on him. He's just trying to get rid of it.
It's just a venting process. You have to realize it. He's been through a lot, and a lot of these WWE guys have been through a lot, unfortunately. And like what you guys were saying, they just want to vent out just a little bit, because sometimes you just have to let your emotions out. I mean, I know I have to sometimes, especially underneath.
I think also that there's a lot to the whole, you know, art reflects life and life reflects art, and a lot of us want to know what they think leaving the WWE, and there's already a built-in knowledge that some people may have felt frustrated before coming over, and I think they just know that there's going to be that emotional connection going against their former employer, because we all know how that feels, and it's going to feel real, and it's going to feel emotional. And so I say, let's start with that and use that to get that momentum going, instead of trying to come in and pretend that was never a thing.
I like that.
And Anissa, how do you feel about Brody Lee coming in? We've obviously talked about the promo, but he had this match with QT Marshall, showing off some big power moves. Felt a little bit like when you play a WWE 2K game and you're on easy and you're just kind of going through your big moves to get the pin and get the win real quick. How did you feel about this match?
I thought the match was totally fine. I mean, I had no problems. I wasn't nitpicking of it. I would like to see some of his old style of wrestling when he was in the indies. But I mean, when you come from a different company, and they train you a certain way how to wrestle, not the way you were used to when you first started. Sometimes it could be so different, hard to go back to where you first started wrestling. So for me, I think it will take time for him to go back on how he used to wrestle back in the indies. But overall, I have no complaints on this match. I thought he did really, really well.
How did what specifically, what do you mean about how he wrestled on the indies? Just for those who don't know.
He was just very more aggressive than what you see. It's kind of like hard to explain. You got to watch it. But it was just like, I felt like he was more aggressive and more powerful when he was wrestling in the indies. But I mean, it is what it is.
I will say, when I lived in upstate New York, you know, Brody Lee had this reputation for being aggressive. Like, at the indie shows up there, that's what it was almost like a Jon Moxley type of feel. Not in the sense of a hardcore match, but just in the sense that you were going to get like that type of intensity.
Well, right, because Brody Lee is a CZW guy.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense when people think of him like, oh yeah, he's an aggressive guy because he wrestled in CCW.
We want more anger, Jack.
Speaking of anger, I was not angry about them offering QT Marshall a mask. Do we think there's gonna be a big recruiting push? Are they gonna actually bring people on, or is that just kind of like what they've been doing, where they offer people and no one ever signs up for it?
I think they're gonna offer people, and then someone's gonna end up taking it, and I hope that happens, because it's no fun if they keep giving people a mask and no one takes it. It has to be fun if somebody takes it, somebody unexpectedly too.
Okay,
I know who's taking one.
They were trying to recruit people this whole time, but now that I see their leaders kind of mean, I don't know if that helps their recruiting process.
You know who I think's joining? You want me to put my prediction out there?
You are.
I think it's Scorpio Sky, because he's been MIA during a lot of this Christopher Daniels stuff, and Kazarian's been there, but old Scorpio Sky, he's been missing. And I've had conversation with old Scorpio Sky, and I think he knows there's power in numbers, and I think he's gonna be the guy. I think
You're
he's gonna
crushing
join.
Anissa, man. You're crushing her.
Okay, I'm not offended. Good for him. More money for him. More exposure.
So anyways, yeah, that'll be fun. Another big dominant dude had a match today. Jake Hager came out and had a match with Chico Adams. You know, not for nothing, Chico did a good job of making. I thought Jake Hager looked pretty strong and intimidating. Masha, you're the big, strong, intimidating person of this crew. Do you think Jake Hager did what he needed to do and came across looking like a big, strong, beef of the week kind of guy?
I mean, if you're talking about beef, there you go. But when it comes to making him look dominant, they're definitely doing a great job of it. They're really emphasizing on his MMA background and everything. And even down to the T where they mentioned that he's undefeated. But he's only had 2 matches, but he's had some other amateur matches as well. But him coming across as a legitimate, like, tough guy and everything, and someone that could legitimately, like, tear you apart just with, like, simple punches and kicks and everything, I think it's great the way they're selling him, especially the way that his opponent really sold the arm triangle. I mean, that arm triangle in legit jiu-jitsu practitioner and MMA sense is a very good choke to really get someone into it. And that's actually how he's won his 2 matches in Bellator as well. So they are, in a sense, trying to equivalent him to what Brock Lesnar is when he went to the UFC and coming back into the WWE. And so I really do feel like they want Jake Hager to be that type of figure where there's just a really tough guy that's really unbeatable and unstoppable. And it's going to take a lot of might for someone to beat someone in his caliber.
Macho, do you know how to apply a triangle?
I do, yes, actually. So I'll use my pillow right here. So, demonstration of how to apply an arm triangle. So say your head's a pit next to your opponent's neck right here. Your arm is going to go underneath right here. What you're going to do, there's 2 ways to do it. You can do an applied arm triangle right here, grabbing your bicep, holding onto there, and squeezing and moving to your side right there. Or another way to do it is something called a gable grip, gabling that and just really squeezing and applying all the force between your bicep and your forearm right there, really efficiently going for a choke.
Good Lord.
Jeez. Now, speaking of scary things, Jon Moxley came out and hit old Jake Hager with the paradigm shift. Totally didn't affect him at all as he put Moxley into the ankle lock for a moment before Moxley swang old platinum at him, as Cody called it. Now, Anissa, this is your part of the show. Tell us about old Jon Moxley.
Okay. Well, Jon Moxley is the greatest deathmatch wrestler of all time, if you did not know. But I mean, at this point, I kind of don't know what the storyline is going to face. His promo after, I really liked because of course, Jon Moxley don't need no script. But I just hope this feud continues. I hope we get to see Jon every single week. I know with this situation, you know, it's obviously they choose who gets to be on the show and whatnot, but I don't know. I mean, I hope we get to see a match with Blood and Guts. I feel like they were supposed to have a match for Blood and Guts, but I could be wrong. But if they can have a title match, hopefully it's at Blood and Guts.
I thought it was really good having him do his promo in the back instead of in the front of the crowd, because he's the kind of person that's intense when he talks, and I think it would have come off weird in the empty arena, where I think backstage it felt fine.
Yeah, and at first I was waiting for somebody in the inner circle to come out and blindside him. So I'm like, is somebody going to blindside him? But no one did, and
don't come at the champ. Real quick, we have Darby Allen versus Kip Sabian. Darby Allen compared to a young Sting by Cody Rhodes. That's stuff we have said on this show. Roger, as an old school WCW fan, is that fair?
No.
Oh,
okay. Sting is like arguably the greatest babyface of all time. Like Sting is on a whole another level. But I like the influence, and I think Darby Allen is still so young, and we see little kids with face paint every week. Like the guy he's really unique, really different, and he's obviously had an impact. I like, even though we don't have a crowd there tonight, I like that we get to see, you know, a lot of these wrestlers showcase. When we say this all the time about these guys, but I like that we're able to see more of them because, yeah, I mean, who's to say he can't be the next thing? He's great.
Agree.
Yeah, he had a cool promo beforehand where he was, drinking out of broken glasses and stuff. It looked like some kind of Fallout game scene for those who have played the game.
It looks like I'm on my window.
Yeah, he beat Kip Sabian, who they remind us that he's probably got something going on with Colt Cabana in the near future. But Masha, I want to ask you about old Kip. I love Kip Sabian. I think he's really cool. I think he's a good wrestler, got a good look. I think Penelope Ford is a star, but he doesn't seem to get a lot of momentum going. Am I a fool for loving Kip Sabian? Is he destined? Is this what he's destined for, or does he have more coming?
I mean, I can't really comment much on Kip Sabian. I've pretty much maybe seen a match here and there with him online and everything. And then when he joined AEW, I had some inkling in who he was. But as far as just his character development and everything for the future, who knows? Maybe they see something in him that might propel him to be something better, or he'll just be the residential jobber.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, don't be ashamed of who you love.
I love who I love. I don't care. I'll tell everybody. But it's one of those things where I think he's great. Sometimes also there's also just a timing issue. But yeah, he seems like he's got everything there, but just hasn't been able to string together the wins. I think they'll come eventually, but for now,
Sorry, real quick. You know what he needs? I feel like, and I'm glad you clarified about like someone teaming up with someone else. I actually think Chris Sabian would benefit like teaming up with like a Jericho or someone else. I think there's a lot of potential there. The guy is great. I don't blame you for liking him. There's so much potential there. So I'm hoping he sticks it out and just keeps going because there's something there.
What would be a good twist though, if say hypothetically Sammy Guevara does turn babyface, who's his replacement to kick him out? Kip Sabian.
Oh, that's good.
They would have barn burners, as JR would say.
That means something else in Texas.
Does it really? Is that a
good
thing or a bad thing? No. Something I didn't like is Cody during this part was talking to old Tony and was like, "Hey Tony, what do you think about this?" And I felt like, Cody, that's my job. I ask people, what do you think? Felt a little gimmick infringed there, pal, because I'm the only one that's ever asked, what do you think in the history of the world? It's my thing.
Get it?
Anyways, real quick, Cody versus Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc had a string of wins until he met old Cody Rhodes tonight in a match. I like seeing Jimmy Havoc mix it up with one of the top guys. He seems like he hasn't found his footing yet either. Anissa, how did you feel about this one? Jimmy Havoc, obviously, he's a deathmatch guy. This wasn't a death match, but he's a deathmatch guy, so I always like to defer to you.
I'm happy to see Jimmy Havoc on AEW, the main show. We usually see him on Dark, but I think they really need to really shine Jimmy Havoc because he's really good. I mean, just take away the craziness he does in the ring and all that stuff. He's really good wrestler, and I hope to the point where we get to see him versus Moxley, him versus Brody Lee, the guys that he's pretty much not familiar working with, I guess. But in my opinion, I really thought I applaud to Cody because he's really outshining Jimmy Havoc, and for me, I really think Jimmy Havoc is a future star in AEW, and I feel that they need to show more of him on the main roster because you have to understand, seeing the same people every week is great, but also we got to see more people that are part of AEW. There's a lot of people who look at Darby Allen and be like, "Wow, I can relate to you," or like Orange Cassidy, and there's a lot of people in the world that can relate to Jimmy Havoc. So we got to attend to those fans.
We need some more of the librarian. I see you.
Librarian. Something that happened at the end of this match. Roger, I'm going to go to you for this one. Cody hit not one, but two crossroads before going for the pin. I want to ask you, do you think that this is because Jimmy Havoc is so tough it takes two? Or are we seeing a more vicious side of Cody Rhodes that wants to hit the move twice?
I think it's a combination of both. Like the Olsen twins said, it takes two, baby. And sometimes, like if you're just feeling it, you go for double the. Like there's no sports happening. This is a time to shine. Friends are calling me, telling me they're checking out AEW. Why not do two moves in a row? Go for it. I think there's a lot of pent up anger there, both from not being able to wrestle and from trying to get his hands on Jericho and the Inner Circle. So go for it, man.
Yeah. Macho, Jake the Snake had a promo after this that I thought was the promo of possibly the week. How did you feel about seeing Jake the Snake out by the fire talking very scary?
Oh boy, I mean, he's pretty much my influence to talk in that gravelly voice, and with him presenting it, and his promo was definitely, it hit a few interesting marks, and it makes you think about, okay, we definitely do understand that there are other wrestlers and other like wrestling personalities that were under contract with everyone else. We know that, like behind the wall wise. But when you think about it in a kayfabe sense, you as a wrestling promotion, you want the best of the best. And then when hypothetically you don't ask the best out there, or certain people get overlooked, you're gonna have some people like Jake the Snake and like Lance Archer who feel overlooked and want to take down the kingdom. And therefore referencing him as Caesar. They want to see Cody fall. And I think what a great way to set it up right here, just really digging it into that emotion. I mean, as watching his old school promos from the 80s and comparing it to now, there's like no just like change whatsoever. We all know him as a great promo guy, and just him really delivering it with that emotion and that anger. I mean, what a great promo.
One of my favorite lines of the night was he was saying how he said the AEW came and wanted to get the best of the best, but they saw what Archer was doing and were afraid, which just instantly made me like, ooh, this guy's scary. And speaking of scary things, we're winding down a little bit, and that means, you know what, guys, I'm gonna do an Elite of the Week if you don't mind.
Elite of the Week.
Maybe not with some of all the fancy post-production stuff, but starting Elite of the Week, starting at number 5, we're going to do Lance Archer and Jake the Snake. They haven't had a match yet, and these two are so scary, so intimidating, so intense. They're going to crush everyone. Put it in your books. It's happening. Next, we've got Chris Jericho at number 4. He can make everyone he works with look good by playing to their strengths. And that's not just good for the week. That's good for a career. And it's easy to say because he's already done it. Next up, we got Sammy Guevara. You guys, it's time to give Sammy Guevara some love. He is a highlight every single week, whether it's singing along to songs, whether it's kissing pictures, whether it's vlogging himself in the middle of the ring. That guy is phenomenal. Number 2, Brody Lee and the Dark Order. Things are about to get real dark, folks, and it's going to be because of these guys. Like I said, I think by the end of the year, they're going to be the biggest stable in pro wrestling. And number 1, you guys, it is Matt Hardy. Are you kidding me right now? He changed the game tonight. I cannot wait to see what crazy shenanigans he is going to bring in the coming weeks. He is so excited. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Elite of the Week.
Elite of the Week.
So
that was a great top 5. One of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. That's in your Elite of the Elite?
That's one of my top 5 elites.
Well, this is a fun show. I think we started off the rails. I think we looked in the direction of the rails, and we never got on the rails. But I think it was a fun show. So that means it's also time to go. But before we do, Roger, why don't you go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Roger_Corral. And I still am going to try and find out what's in that boom boom room.
Yes, right here. And we also got Anissa. Where can they find you?
On all social media at Anissa Barr with 3 R's at the end.
And Macho Libre.
Well, allow me to tag in my partner real quick.
Oh.
Hey guys, what I miss here? Everything good? All right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, my partner did his thing right now, but guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at JOAL323. And before we go, shout out to the chat room, Dang and Q's, our Flobo Boyce in the chat. We got David Wong, we got Joseph Boza, we got External Shockwave, and the usual suspects. So thank you so much for joining us along, y'all.
Oh, thanks for shouting out the chat. I'm the worst. I always forget it, but I appreciate you guys. Ryan, real quick in the booth, do you want to tell them where they can find you online?
Of course, you can find me at Ryan Nilsen, RYNILSEN, and Star Wars News every Thursday, 6 p.m. PST on the Popcorn Talk Network.
Awesome, and I am
4
Jack Farmer.
p.m. Sorry, 4 p.m. Don't know why I said 6. It's 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Where can they find you,
Jack?
Jack?
It's a long day. You can find me at jackcfarmer.com as well as at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out on the WWE Raw After Show every Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific and the Social Media Skim every Monday as well. You can also check out a brand new conversation I got to have with Simon Miller. It was super fun. The guy is hilarious. You're going to want to check it out. We had a great time. He slaps his head. It's fun stuff. You can check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, until next week, do your best and be yourself.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.